rupee breached the crucial 62 mark against the US dollar, leading to a sharp sell-off in stock markets. The Sensex plunged over 500 points, while the 50-share Nifty benchmark traded below the key 5,600 levels. The Sensex traded below the psychological 19,000. Banking stocks tumbled as continued rupee weakness strengthened fears of a rate hike. Ashish Maharishi, our correspondent, joins us from the newsroom. Ashish, another record low within 10 days.
True, Vedika, if you in totality see the current status of the economy, it is actually in shambles. I have the entire thing with me. The Sensex is still down by almost 448 points, and if you see gold, it is still down by in fact it is increased by almost 1100 rupees, and if you see the US dollar, it is still trading at around 61.81. So certainly if it has touched the 62 mark, it is a very clear sign, and if we see that the Sensex is also down, it's a very clear indication that foreign institutional investors have lost confidence in India, and that is why they're just taking away the dollars from here. And on the other hand, if you see the steps that have been taken by the government in the past, in the last few days, it has almost backfired. The finance minister had said that current account deficit is very high, and that is why we have to increase the duty on gold. So
yes.
Here is the example that it is increased by 1100 rupees. The gold prices have increased in a span of just few hours. The increase around 1100 rupees. This is a very, very surprising rise. And on the other hand, if you see the rupee against the dollar, again there is a big plunge, and the plunge is basically just because the demand for dollar is very high. The foreign institutional investors are taking the money back, and the steps that have been taken against the Indian industry. In the last few hours, the government had taken a step which said that you cannot take away the domestic companies cannot take away too many dollars out of India. The money cannot be invested. The dollar.
Yes, Ashish, I'm going to come back to you. We're going to talk more about the slew of measures really that the central bank had also put in place, which doesn't seem to be working. In fact, it's backfired with the weakening rupee. We also have our correspondent Virendra Gunava joining us on the phone line from Mumbai. I will come back to Ashish in a moment from now, but we have Mr. Yashwant Sinha also joining us on the phone line. Mr. Sinha, thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. Well, it seems that the slew of measures that the central bank as well as the government also put in place is backfiring, the rupee only weakening further.
I am not surprised at all. I have said earlier also that there is a market perception and there is a market mechanism. And according to that perception, there is a certain value to which the rupee must decline. And whatever we may do will not help, because the rupee is bound to reach that level which the market perceives to be the right level. The only thing that you can do, RBI and the government in the given situation, is to ensure that volatility is reduced to the minimum. But I am sorry to say that even that effort of the government of India seems to be failing, and the rupee is declining by leaps and bounds in every trading session.
Mr. Sinha, there is a question for you, Mr. Sinha. Do you think the confidence level has gone low, and that is why the foreign institutional investors are taking their money back? At the same time, the steps that have been taken by the central government, especially the finance ministry, they have said that you cannot, domestic companies cannot take away too much of dollars from here to invest abroad. At the same time, the steps taken to curb current account deficit, they've said that gold prices have to be brought down, have to be the duty has to be increased, and that is why we have seen a 1100 rupees increase today. The rupee plunging. So there is a vicious cycle under which the entire government looks to be going into a tumble. So why do you think, is there a loss of confidence?
This is exactly what I was trying to convey, that when there is loss of confidence in the economy, in the government, then the large investment that the foreign institutional investors have made in the stock market starts to liquidate. They sell against rupees, then They take those rupees to the exchange market to buy dollars against those rupees. That puts pressure on the dollar because the supply is not keeping pace with the demand, and that leads to depreciation of the rupee. This is the vicious cycle which will operate in a given situation like this. And you are absolutely right in saying that all this arises out of loss of confidence. And the only way in which confidence can be restored is by a number of determined steps, not by giving crocin to the patient to bring down the temperature temporarily. And as far as the long-term measures are concerned, the government of India is doing precious little. They are taking very, very temporary measures, the kind of measures which were not even imposed in 1998 when we were facing the East Asian crisis and the global economic sanctions, because we are back to the license Raj as far as foreign exchange management is concerned.
That is the kind of steps that the government has taken. You know, you're asking, if you remember the steps a few days back that was taken by the government. They said you cannot invest more dollars abroad. So you are curbing the domestic industry of not going out. You're actually trying the company should not expand abroad. So these steps are actually going to the license Raj, curbing the economy, going back to the 90s. Why such steps being taken by Mr. Chidambaram? And in place of, in case you would have been the finance minister, what steps you would have taken in the current situation?
No, we had taken a number of steps when I was finance minister. Let me tell you that in 1998, when I was finance minister, we were also facing a very difficult situation, isn't it? I mean, we had the East Asian crisis, and we had, in addition, we had sanctions post-Pokhran. How did we manage? The first thing we did was to restore confidence. Therefore, we issued asked the SBI to issue the Resurgent India bond, and we were hoping that maybe we'll get about a couple of $2 billion. We had to close the issue of the bond before time, and we ended up collecting over $4 billion. That immediately restored confidence in the economy and in the government. So there is no such step which this government is taking, and I don't know why. And the situation is only going to go from bad to worse, because everyone is seeing the writing on the wall. The government may have adopted an ostrich-like attitude, but every member of the Indian scene is looking at it and knows what the writing on the wall says.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for speaking to Headlines today. We have an expert with us, Mr. Kejriwal. Can you just tell us on how to bring the confidence back into the Indian economy, because rupee plunging, gold prices going high, stock market in the red, everything going berserk for the entire economy. We expect the finance minister also to make a statement in a while. What steps do you think will bring back confidence into the Indian economy?
Well, I think one thing that needs to be done at a moment of crisis is people stick to their jobs. When you hear comments coming in from the finance minister that the RBI governor's policy is not only to manage the rupee but also to create jobs, one starts getting confusing signals as to what is the objective of the RBI governor. We have an officer on special duty who has been appointed 3 weeks prior to taking over as the governor of RBI. All this sends wrong signals to the man who is there. It sends wrong signals overseas. And when foreign investors start wondering what is going to happen, mind you, their investment is hot money, it is short-term money, it can never bridge the current account deficit permanently. So when this hot money starts flowing out faster than it had come in, like it happened in the case of debt, it sets a vicious cycle of there being substantially higher demand for dollars than would have been the case. Let me take another example of gold. We have gold import duties being raised from about 1% now to 10%. But duties on imported gold jewelry, the differential continues to be maintained at 2.5%, which means it is at 12.5%. You can easily go and import gold bangles where there is no value add, and you don't have the restriction of exporting 80% of that.
Very true, Mr. Kejriwal. Mr. Kejriwal, thank you so much for speaking with Headlines today. So, Vedika, here are the expert opinions. We had Yashwant Sinha, we had Mr. Kejriwal saying that loss of confidence is there in the economy, and that is why we see in totality, yes, the rupee is plunged, the Sensex is in the red, and the gold prices are soaring.